Hey there, team. How we doing? I'm popping in live here for another office hours. Today, I want to focus my energy on coaching conversations. If you're a new or aspiring nutrition coach, you put so much energy into getting clients and convincing people to work with you. You may find it surprising that you get to that point and they don't always listen to you and do what you want them to do, which can be incredibly frustrating. So we're going to talk about that dynamic today because you put all that energy into getting to a place where you finally have a paying client or someone that's trusting you and all that stuff. And if they're simply not doing the thing that you want them to do, they're not tracking their intake, they're not executing on the plan, they're not checking in the right way. This is a coaching problem, and we need to work on our soft skills. And not only that, but getting people to see why it's in their best interest to do the things that we're telling them. And there's a bunch of different strategies and ways of positioning that to make it a whole lot easier. We're going to talk about all that stuff today. If you got any questions as we go through things, don't hesitate to stop me, drop something in the chat. Hi, Coach Emily. Good to see you in here. Um, Hopefully you're working through the book and everything. If you have any questions as we go through things here today, let me know and drop it in there. But happy you're here. As always, guys, the channel grows when you engage in this content and support it. So if you're tuning in, you could hit that like button. It would help push things as well. And before we go too far into things here today, I wanted to highlight a few learning opportunities. Um, Hi, Coach Becky. Thanks for tuning in. Hope everything is well on your end. We're talking today about how to get people to listen to you, how to work through some of those difficult coaching conversations. It is very much a skill, and the more we can work on it, the better. So, Becky, if you had any specific questions as we get going here, by all means, drop them in the chat. One thing, I don't know why that kind of rhymed like that, but it did. One thing I wanted to highlight before we go too far, though, is that I am putting on a completely free webinar on this upcoming Tuesday. It'll be Tuesday morning, Tuesday, August 6th, on the process that I created that helped me land my first 100 paying nutrition clients. I kind of stumbled upon this process where instead of like selling people on coaching or talking about the specifics of my coaching and all that stuff, the details, the features, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I started showing potential people that were curious about my coaching on like what was holding them back from their goals, and presenting it that way. And they automatically, like through this strategy, just were like, what's the next step? Like, how do I sign up for coaching? It was a completely different dynamic than talking about, hey, this is what my coaching costs. Do you want to sign up, and never hearing from them again. I want to teach you guys how to do that in this upcoming webinar. Completely free Tuesday morning. The only hook is so I can answer questions, just like we're doing right now. There is a cap on the seats. So I think we've got 10 remaining seats. So if you're interested in this stuff, I'm going to drop the registration link right here, and we'll go from there. Sound good? Let me just pull it up here. I don't, I thought I had it open, and then, these things happen. I'm kind of in tab hell right now, which you do need to practice safe browser space, because if you don't, things get lost. Here it is. Here's the chat, or here's a link. Again, guys, if you're tuning in to support the channel, if you could hit that like button, tell me where you're from, engage, that would be fantastic. Here is the actual registration link for the webinar. Get that in. There's only 10 spaces left for that upcoming webinar on Tuesday morning. Okay. We're talking all about how to get people to do the things that you're asking them. If you could take anything away from this chat, LaSalle from Richmond, Virginia. Hey, LaSalle. I'm assuming that's what VA means. Thanks for tuning in. Amazing. I know we've been chatting about the program, so hopefully we can get you in sooner than later here. If you could take anything away from this conversation around getting people to do things that you want them to do, that's in their best interest. Again, we're never asking anyone to do something that like literally wouldn't help them. These things all do help them. the one key, the one thing that like helps more than anything else is you can't just tell people things, right? You're not like finger pointing and saying like you need to do this to get them to see why it's in their best interest to do it. You always need to bring it back to their goals, what they want, and not even their goals and what they want, but also what achieving those goals and results would allow them to do would be the biggest thing. What changes for them? Because when you have that information in a coaching capacity, the conversation turns from not finger pointing and saying you need to do this. It turns into why I'm asking you to do this is because you told me you wanted this thing, and this is the best way to get there. Are you willing to, try that thing? Are you willing to do that? And that kind of thing. They need to see why it's in their best interest before they do it. It's the same thing with, let's talk about tracking your food intake. If you have people that are looking to achieve weight loss goals, they're looking to drop some fat, you need to control, like you need to help them control for their overall energy intake and where those calories are coming from, the macronutrients that, make up their food choices, protein, carbohydrates, and fat. If they're not managing that stuff, you're basically playing blind darts around weight loss. It's just like not going to be repeatable. So the best way to do that is to get a sense of what they're doing now, set up some targets, and get them to track their food. This is a process that works really, really well, but can take a lot of time and energy. It's one of those things where it is some effort. And people, you're starting to work with them. They're like, well, do I really need to do this? Can't you just like tell me exactly what to eat, or shouldn't I just avoid certain food, or can we focus on that? And a lot of new coaches, or coaches that just really care, will start to bend their approach right off the bat, right away. Yeah, we could do that. Why don't we just focus on some habits or do this way or that kind of thing? So they've already let a little bit of like that number one, that power slip away, where they're now like constantly trying to change things to be a coach that cares and accommodating and that kind of stuff. And in reality, they should have just stuck with the first approach that they did right off the bat, like, or suggested right off the bat. And if they could have just got the client to see that at the beginning, they wouldn't be wasting time doing things that aren't going to be in their best interest, aren't going to get them results, aren't going to solve the problem. So to me, it's always like presenting this stuff, why it's in someone's best interest, tracking your food. No, yeah, like I think the biggest thing you do, like totally, like just a head nod, understand. Yeah, it is a lot of work. There is a learning curve here. It is going to take some energy, maybe repeating back what they're saying to you so that, you're getting on the same page, getting on the same team, that kind of thing. But keep in mind, what's going to be like you have a weight loss goal. And for you to reach that weight loss goal, it's going to be tough for you to do that unless you're managing the most important things that are going to influence that stuff, which comes down to tracking, which is why I'm presenting it this way. Why don't we have you start tracking for the next week? I'm sure it'll get easier as you go and you learn more about it, as well as it's just the process of like actually technically and stuff, like similar foods and that kind of stuff. It'll get easier as you go. Track it in a week for a week. Let's see what your results are like. And if they don't continue to improve, we can try something else. You need to get people to see why it's in their best interest. It's like, yes, I know tracking is hard, but keep in mind, you said you wanted to lose 20 pounds for that beach vacation, which is really, really important for you because you had mentioned, not feeling all that confident and you're seeing people that you don't typically see and that kind of stuff. That's why you want to do it. The best way to get there is going to be tracking your food, which is why I'm presenting it. You got to get them seeing why it's in their best interest instead of you just being like, hey, track your food, kind of go from there. Emily says, took a few months to even like tracking and it's helped so much. Yeah, it's one of those. I used to be a nutrition expert that felt as if I had like just a laundry list of things I could do to improve my health. Like all these things. I was thinking about it today. I would like just like I'd almost like collect nutrition facts. You'd see something like a new report come out, some new research that says like, eating bread is better done if it's previously been frozen because it lowers the glycemic index. So you have like this new fact where it's like only eating bread that's now frozen. You start to add all these things. Don't, different food rules around, I'm only eating carbs after my workout. I'm only doing this, all doing that. And then you have all these like rules when in reality, they're not the principles, the underlying scientific nutrition principles that influence results. And by tracking and being more mindful of that stuff, you're starting to manage the things that actually do matter instead of the things that they don't. And I know for people with nutrition backgrounds, specifically more like nutritionists than nutrition coaches, I find a lot of times they know so much, but they're not really sure how to apply it. And this is one of the best ways to apply that stuff. Does that make sense? Yeah, like those are like some of the biggest things around getting people to see why it's in their best interest. Normal weekly check-ins and following an actual check-in procedure is another great example of this. People are like, oh, why do I gotta do it that way? Why can't I just text you and tell you how things are going? Well, you have an organized system in place that allows you to collect all the relevant information, keep it all in one place so you're not spread too thin, and you can sit down and do all your check-ins at one time. Explaining that to the client could be okay. Like they could get a sense of why they needed to do that. But if you present it in the way that's like, the reason why I'm asking you to do this is because to coach you to the best possible results, to help you lose 20 pounds over the next 10 weeks, the next 12 weeks, I want to make sure that I'm the most effective coach for you possible. And to do that, I need to have everything in one place, all the information collected, all in time, every week at the exact same time, so that I can be the most effective coach. I know exactly where things are, I know exactly what's happening. I have a paper trail. For me, in order to help you lose that 20 pounds, this is the way we need to do things. And it's because of those reasons. Does that make more sense? And they're like, okay. Now that I'm just not following this rigid procedure because someone's told me they have to, I can see why it's in my best interest. Gerald says, are clients more inclined to track through a software versus a spreadsheet? No, I personally, like, I'm still very much a spreadsheet geek. I use a lot of the tools and a lot of the software that we reviewed on the channel. I've tried it out in different capacities. There's some that I still use with certain clients and that kind of stuff. But for the most part, the tracking sheets work super well, and people only really need, which they're becoming a lot more familiar with, like the Google Sheets app and being able to edit a shared sheet and stuff. So it's pretty accessible in that sense. Like if you're adding training in as well, like maybe it's something that you think about going more software based. And there's definitely some different tools that make the coaching aspect easier with some software. Logeat is one of them that comes to mind. But like outside of that, like I think the thing that you got to think about is like, especially as you get it going, the thing that's going to get done, the thing that's going to actually be completed, the thing that's the easiest to use, regardless of like how it's used, is the most important path. And that's why I would go about it that way. So to me, it's like the sheets, just get the sheet there. Maybe it's a little bootstrapped and put together, but it works and it's most effective. That's where I literally coached my first 1,500 clients before we started playing around with different softwares. Now, software is going to be great without a doubt. I just like the fact that it's super customizable and stuff. And my clients, I mean, if we're thinking about this from a client perspective, they're just as happy with that as having to sign up for a different app or something like that. Hope that makes sense. How does this feel in terms of how to present things to people to get them to see why it's in their best interest? Does this all make sense? If you guys are tuning into the live today, make sure to hit that like button so the channel grows. Tell me where you're tuning in from. And if you have any questions around these concepts, by all means, drop them in the chat because I love answering them. It's so cool that like I'm seeing, 4 or 5 names come up in this community of people that I've interacted with. I know you guys. I'm glad you're benefiting from things. It just feels like we're building a group here of people that are all trying to help others through the power of nutrition. That's a really, really powerful thing. Also, keep in mind, guys, that we do have that webinar coming up on Tuesday. That process, honestly, it's lights out. If you guys haven't checked out the free nutrition report and how it helped me land a bunch of clients, especially at the beginning of my nutrition coaching, you got to come check it out. I'll include the link there below, as well as if you're watching the replay of this and you have any questions, feel free to comment on the actual video and I'll get back to you. I do stay on top of this stuff. I do read them. I will answer questions. So make sure to do that. Outside of that, those are two main strategies and ways of thinking about how to work with difficult clients and how to navigate things. In my experience, most people like they want to do things so that it's the right way. You just got to position it at times for them to see why they should do it, and it becomes a lot easier. People don't mind making decisions. They don't mind doing tough things. They don't mind doing hard things. They just got to see why it's in their best interest. Outside of that, that's it for today. Do you guys have any other questions before I pop off? Let me know and we'll go from there. I'll leave her there for today. You can comment later if you'd like. Reach out to me via email if you got any questions. We'll go from there. Have a good weekend, guys. Bye.